Making headlines first at 9. Nervous presence. India wary of China's plans in Sri Lanka. Raises security concerns over Hambantota port. The dream. President Maithripala Sirisena speaks of his dream of a coexistent society. You may try. Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa is defiant over alleged stripping of his civic rights. Alternative routes. Police reveal the special traffic plan for Colombo over the coming days.
Roads are closed from 7 a.m. to 12 noon.
The challenge. Republican lawmakers plan to release a controversial memo against the FBI. US President all for the move. Good evening with news from across Sri Lanka and around the world on Other Derana 24/7 first at 9. I'm Indivari Amwat. We begin with your top stories tonight. India's Defence Minister raises security concerns over China's plans in Sri Lanka through its involvement in the strategic southern port of Hambantota. Responding to journalists in India, Nirmala Sitharaman hinted a security concern, saying it is a question whether China will confine itself to only port activities in Hambantota. The Indian Defence Minister was questioned whether China setting up its base in Hambantota port posed a security threat to India, and if so, whether they are prepared to face the threat. Minister Nirmala Sitharaman said, quote, "Whether China will use the port only for port activities is a question, and my reply answers all your queries," unquote. She said the Sri Lankan government had handed over the port to China on a 99-year lease only after having failed to repay on a loan. The Indian Defence Minister took questions after a meeting on the implementation of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's New India Vision 2020. The Election Commission refutes allegations levelled against it that it was mistakes by relevant returning officers which led to the Supreme Court suspending local authorities' elections being held at the Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha. Chairman of the Election Commission Mahinda Deshapriya spoke on the allegation that a media briefing held at the Commission's premises, adding that the Supreme Court in fact made no such ruling.
Some big media organizations also reported that the court ruled as to how Election Commission made a mistake with regard to the issue of the Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha. While being courteous to the Supreme Court's supremacy, I would like to mention that the Supreme Court did not make any such ruling. Returning officers of both Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha and Galle District rejected the relevant nominations submitted to the Alpitiya Pradesh Sabha after considering necessary conditions. What the Supreme Court ruled was that there are reasons to hear the case, so the court called for the case to be heard on the 15th of February. There won't be any point in hearing the case on the 15th as we are holding the election on the 10th of this month. So the Supreme Court, as it should, has issued an interim injunction prohibiting the election being held before the court date.
Meanwhile, First at 9 spoke to Additional Election Commissioner M.A. Mohammed on the subject of special leave, which the Election Commission insists that employees be granted so they can cast their vote in the local authorities' election.
The employees who are working in the private sector is also entitled to get special leaves for casting their vote. Any private sector employee who wants to go to their polling station to cast their vote, they can apply in writing to the administrator of the institution, special leave. The employer takes the decision to provide at least 2 hours leave according to the Local Authorities Elections Ordinance, section number 82, who refuse to give the leave to their employees to cast their vote can be punished for the offence.
And President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes that it is his dream to see all communities living together in peace as one family. Addressing a campaign rally in Batiklo yesterday, the President also highlighted that it is time to bridge the gap between the city and the village of the country.
SLFP organised another campaign rally in the area of Kathankudi in Batticaloa yesterday, ahead of the upcoming local authorities election. It was held under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena.
You were never happy even after the war was over in this country. There was no peace between Sinhalese, Muslims and Tamil communities. You as well as the Muslim community faced a lot of troubles during the Rajapaksa regime. That's why you rejected the previous government and the president. I have a dream, that is to see all communities in this country being together as one family. We should tell the whole world that we are brothers and sisters who stick together. We must live with trust among ourselves. Although it's been 3 years since I took office, I had no connections with the village to work for you. I had no chance to come here because there was no bridge between cities and villages. I came here today to ask you to build that bridge. You will be given that opportunity on the 10th of February. I ask all of you to cast your vote for the symbol of the hand on the 10th.
Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe also addressed a rally in Batticaloa yesterday. He reiterated that the United National Party is the only party with the right plan for development at rural level.
The rally was worked off in support of UNP candidates contesting for the Provincial Council of Eravathur Pattu. It was conducted under auspices of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe.
When we came to power, the economy had collapsed. The government did not have money. They did not have a revenue to pay off debt. Today we are strengthening the country's economy. Firstly, we developed infrastructure, industries and tourism. We are developing tourism from Trincomalee to Arugambe. Not only Pasikuda, but we are developing other places as well. It is only the UNP that has a development plan for Eravupattu. In order to work with the central government, vote for the UNP. None of the others can develop this. They do not know our ideas as well. We come here to build a future for the people living here.
Former President Mahinda Rajapaksa delivered a strong reaction to recent suggestions of revoking his civic rights and said that it won't be easy to do so. The former head of state made the remark at a campaign rally in Ambalanthata yesterday.
Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna organised another campaign rally in Ambalanthota under the patronage of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa yesterday.
President is saying that members of his cabinet started stealing from the very first month after the government came into power. He's claiming all politicians are fraudsters. If that's the case, then he also is a fraudster. He should be responsible for the fraudulent activities by his cabinet. And he's going around the place saying that he will take legal action to strip my civic rights. It won't be that easy to do, like how they did it with former Prime Minister Sirimao Bandaranaike. They're trying to strip my civic powers, claiming that I didn't pay the ITN. I and the ITN never signed any agreement. It was done by the party's general secretaries. He himself looked into those matters until the 20th of December in 2014. That's the biggest fraudulent activity they could apparently find. They robbed banks and now the UNP would say that they removed those who are responsible for the thefts. And then those people will be temporarily arrested. And then the arrested will be released on bail once the election is over, and all the legal action will also be over along with it. Those who are claiming that they wouldn't leave their positions until all of us are punished have forgotten that there is a presidential election to be held next year.
Meanwhile, the former president also took part in a public gathering in Jaffna today. It was organised by the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna at Veerasingham Hall.
The leader of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna, parliamentarian Anurukumar Dissanayake, charges that rulers have failed to follow through on the promises made prior to coming to office. He was addressing a public rally in Rambeva in Anuradhapura yesterday.
Yet another public rally of the Janata Vimukti Peramuna was held in Rambeva in Anuradhapura yesterday under the patronage of its leader MP Anurukumar Dissanayake.
Ranil Wickremesinghe is not doing what he said he would do before the election. Ranil Wickremesinghe recently bought 2 cars at the government's cost. It cost him 600 million rupees. I'm planning on having a look at those cars when he comes to Parliament in them. I wonder if it's the Knight Rider car. Shranti Rajapaksa went to France to indulge in Vesak decorations. I wonder whether there were pandals. She stayed in a hotel room at 2 a.m. at a cost of 16.1 million rupees. Even the Queen of England refused to stay in that hotel, saying it was too expensive. Maithripala Sirisena uses 2 helicopters ever since he became president. We can accept going by 2 cars when travelling over land because if one car had a flat tyre, he could shift to the other. But why 2 helicopters? Is he going to jump to the other helicopter if something happens to the one he's travelling in?
Let's now take a look at some of the views expressed by politicians ahead of the looming local authorities election.
The UNP appointed the Tilak Marapana Committee without considering reports by Commission of Inquiry or My Cope Committee. Tilak Marapana was the first to resign in this government after being proven guilty. His brother is the attorney representing Aloysius' company. Is Ranil Wickremesinghe suitable to be the leader because he was the one to appoint Arjun Mahendran and his followers, added the footnotes. But the leader is not being held responsible at all. It is the assistant leader who is responsible here. Decision is taken to remove Ravi Karunayaka as the assistant leader. We removed Tilak Marapana, Vijayadas Rajapaksa and Ravi Karunayaka from their ministerial positions. Did things like this happen in Mahinda Rajapaksa's government? They used to promote all the fraudsters. UNP can't go to villages anymore. People say bond thieves are coming to their villages. Another commission report has been presented and our people are the responsible ones there. But that's okay. We can show all of this live. A legal case was never filed even against former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's cook back then. But this government sent 3 prominent ministers home. We are strong enough to punish any fraudster. If they are pointing the finger at Mahinda Rajapaksa for all the wrongdoings that were done by the members of the previous government, then President Sirisena should be responsible for his government.
I constructed the Colombo-Katunayake Expressway. Former President Rajapaksa only completed the final bit. But they drafted new agreements replacing the ones we signed, which increased the cost by 2-fold. Then they took all the extra money as commission for themselves. Their grandmothers are the ones to pay all of that money back. There's no one to carry on with the fraudulent activities because the President or Prime Minister aren't thieves.
President accused the members of the joint opposition to be fraudsters the other day. The very next day, he said he'd establish a government if all the 96 UPFA parliamentarians join him, which means all the fraudsters. And on the third day, he says that this government would go on until 2020. Which statement should we now believe, Mr. President? Those who were guilty back then are the ones to point fingers at the UNP while sitting at the cabinet. We will go on with this government until 2020.
Parliamentarian Udaya Gammampilla today weighed in on the subject of former President Mahinda Rajapaksa's civic rights. The topic has become a point of debate in recent days, with some politicians saying the recently compiled report by the Presidential Commission of Inquiry to investigate into serious acts of fraud, corruption and abuse of power, state resources and privileges recommends that civic rights of the former president be revoked. Parliamentarian Gammampilla, however, dismissed the notion and charged that the report is a fake.
What these pages say is that civic rights are stripped for 7 years if found culpable of bribery, and after such time, those can return to politics. Hence, it says that civic rights be permanently stripped for not only bribery offenders but also corruption-related offenders. Mahinda Rajapaksa has never been found guilty for bribery or corruption. This, at least, isn't a recommendation to a case on corruption charges. Albeit baseless, it recommends a case be filed for abetting corruption. Under existing law, civic rights won't be lost over it, and there are no recommendations by the Commission to introduce a law towards that end. The report of the Commission fails to justify the accusations of abetting corruption with evidence. Any accusations levelled by the report issued by Presifac is applicable to anyone in the country. But we here at the SLFP will never, whether it be Mahinda Rajapaksa or anyone else, try to take part in steps to strip them of their civic rights. That is the J.R. Jayawardena way. But this is not the way of the SLFP. These days, they take a recommendation given in a report and use it to try and make boogeymen in the political arena.
You are watching Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
If you were wondering why there was a severe traffic congestion in the heart of Colombo with motorists being idle for hours waiting to move minor distances, it's due to a new traffic plan in place. Sri Lanka Police today announced the traffic plan for the next 3 days in view of the upcoming 70th Independence Day, and its rehearsals are in place. Accordingly, roads towards Galle Face will remain closed and transportation in some roads in the surrounding area will be limited.
Today there were heavy traffic congestion reported from Kolpiti and Slave Island areas due to the Independence Commemoration Parade rehearsals. There will be the rehearsals for the 70th Independence Commemoration Parade on tomorrow and day after tomorrow. Galle Road from Galle Face roundabout to NSA roundabout, and Lotus Road from NSA roundabout to Ceramic Junction, and near Slave Island railway station to Galle Face roundabout, marker roads are closed for the rehearsals from 7 a.m. to 12 noon, 2nd and 3rd February.
Access to many roads will be limited from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. including the roads which leads to Galle Face from the Kolpiti junction. Other roads which will be closed off are entrance to Galle Road from St. Michael's roundabout, entrance to Galle Road from Rotunda roundabout, entrance to Ceramic Junction from CTO junction, and the entrance to Fort from Khan roundabout. An alternative road plan is recommended for heavy vehicles entering Colombo, as they can drive through W.A. Silva Mawatha in Vellavatta to Old Havelock Road and to Maya roundabout to Havelock Road and to Timbirigasyaya, and then proceed towards Colombo through Baseline Road. Heavy vehicles that need to exit Colombo can take Alcott Road to Technical Junction, TB Jaya Mawatha, Ibbanwala Junction, Union Place, Lipton Roundabout, Dharmapala Mawatha, FR Senanayaka Mawatha, Kannangara Mawatha, Nanda Motors Junction, Independence Roundabout, Reed Avenue, Tungmula Junction, Bauddha Loka Mawatha to R80 Mel Mawatha.
The Earl of Wessex, Prince Edward, and the Countess of Wessex, who arrived in the island yesterday to attend Sri Lanka's 70th Independence Day celebrations, visited Kandy today. The royal couple paid their respects at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic and visited the Royal Botanical Gardens. They also met students from the Trinity College and the Girls' High School in Kandy.
Prince Edward, the Earl of Wessex, and the Countess of Wessex, Princess Sophie, arrived at the Katunayake Bandaranaike International Airport yesterday. Prince Edward, the youngest son of Queen Elizabeth, and his wife planted a sapling at the Royal Botanical Garden to formally commemorate Sri Lanka's 70th anniversary of independence and unveiled a plaque to celebrate the long-standing relationship between the Royal Botanical Gardens and Britain. The Earl and Countess spent time with students from the Trinity College and the Girls' High School in Kandy. They also met with Chief Lay Custodian Pradeep Nilangadala, Governor of Central Province Niloka Ekanaika, and Chief Minister of the Central Province Sarath Ekanaika at the Temple of the Sacred Tooth Relic and learned the tooth relic's significance. The royal couple paid their respects in the inner sanctum of the temple, where they viewed the casket containing the Sacred Tooth Relic and received blessings.
And we have other stories making news from across Sri Lanka in brief.
The Chief Minister of the Uva Province, Shamara Sampath Dasanayake, arrived at the Sri Lanka Human Rights Commission this morning. After giving a statement to the Commission, the Chief Minister expressed views to the media, saying that he regrets the incident of asking a principal to kneel before him. According to the Epidemiology Unit of the Ministry of Health, the total number of dengue cases for the month of January stood at almost 6,400. The highest number of cases were reported from Colombo at 1,020, and the second highest coming from Kampaha at 627. The number of suspected dengue cases reported for the year of 2017 stands at approximately 186,000. An operation was launched to remove wasp nests in the spillways of the Victoria Reservoir recently by the organisation Save the Bees. The Thurutu procession of Pilana Sri Mahavihara in Galle took to the streets for the 117th time last night, with Derana Media Network being the media sponsor. The procession included various cultural items and a significant presence of elephants.
In business news tonight, the Ministry of Industry and Commerce says that according to data released by the Joint Apparel Association Forum and the Sri Lanka Apparel Exporters Association, Sri Lanka apparel exports for 2017 totaled $4.81 billion US. This was an increase of 3.06% compared to $4.67 billion US in year 2016. This was the highest annual export revenue recorded for apparel exports. According to data just in the month of December last year, exports were at $452 million US, and it is a 21% increase in comparison to total export revenue recorded in 2016. 45% of apparel exports in 2017 were sent to the United States, while 42% headed to the European Union. And Sri Lankan shares rose for a second straight session today to their highest close in more than 3 weeks as foreign buying boosted sentiment. The all-share price index ended 0.34% up at 6,498.45. We have Umeshi Fernando from the Colombo Stock Exchange for more details.
The market capitalization at the end of the day was 2,971.54 billion rupees. Top 5 gainers of the day were Adam Investments, Blue Diamonds Non-Voting, SNB Leasing, Adam Capital, Colombo Trust Finance, while the top 5 losers were Renuka Agri-Foods, Tess Agro, Asri Surgical, City Land Development and Renuka Foods Non-Voting. Today's foreign purchases were 480.05 million rupees and foreign sales were 236.31 million rupees.
South Korea's finance minister says the government has no plans to shut down cryptocurrency trading, which is welcome news for investors worried that authorities might go as far as China's tough action in blocking virtual coin platforms. The comment by Kim Dong-yong yesterday comes as traders at the home and around the world have been spooked by conflicting comments from government officials in South Korea, a major hub for cryptocurrency trade, that Seoul was planning to ban local digital coin exchanges.
Reinforcing Seoul's intent to tighten the screws on a market widely seen as opaque and risky by global policymakers, the country's customs announced yesterday that it had uncovered illegal cryptocurrency foreign exchange trading worth nearly $600 million. South Korea has been at the forefront of pushing for broad regulatory oversight of cryptocurrency trading, as many locals, including students and housewives, jumped into a frenzied market despite warnings from policymakers around the world of a bubble. Seoul previously said that it is considering shutting down local cryptocurrency exchanges, which threw the market into turmoil and hammered Bitcoin prices. Officials later clarified that an outright ban is only one of the steps being considered, and a final decision was yet to be made.
We take a look at how the Sri Lankan rupee traded against other major currencies during the day. In your top headline stories from news overseas, the FBI has publicly challenged a push by Republican lawmakers to release a controversial memo which purports to show anti-Trump bias at the agency. The White House has reportedly indicated it could be published later today. Democrats say the memo is an attempt to discredit the FBI-led Russia inquiry.
The 4-page document compiled by staffers for House Intelligence Committee chairman says the Department of Justice abused the FISA surveillance program to unfairly target a member of Donald Trump's campaign. According to lawmakers who have reviewed it, the document purports to show the agency obtained a warrant to spy on a Trump campaign aide after submitting as evidence the unproven Russian dossier. That dossier was compiled by former UK intelligence agent Christopher Steele, with money financed in part from the Hillary Clinton campaign. The top Democrat on the US House Intelligence Committee said the panel voted along party lines last Monday to release the memo. Democratic Representative Adam Schiff told reporters the committee had also voted not to release a Democratic drafted memo that countered the Republican one. The FBI declined to say if Director Christopher Wray approved the statement. Trump named Wray to head the Federal Bureau of Investigation after firing Director James Comey last May.
If I am given the honor of leading this agency, I will never allow the FBI's work to be driven by anything other than the facts, the law, and the impartial pursuit of justice. Period. Full stop.
Speaking on the issue of the memo, the then acting FBI Director Andrew McCabe had this to say.
As you know, Senator, the work of the men and women of the FBI continues despite any changes in circumstance, any decisions. So there has been no effort to impede our investigation to date. Quite simply put, sir, you cannot stop the men and women of the FBI from doing the right thing, protecting the American people, and upholding the Constitution.
Meanwhile, Trump was heard following his State of the Union speech day before yesterday, telling a Republican lawmaker he was all for releasing the document.
Let's release the memo. Oh, yeah. Oh, don't worry. 100%. Can you imagine that? Yes, sir.
We have more international news in brief now.
A fire at a facility to support senior people on welfare in northern Japan yesterday killed 11 people. 5 people were rescued and firefighters were still at the scene early today, checking on the smoke and debris. The Philippines' Mount Mayon continued to spew lava and ash last night, more than 2.5 weeks after volcanic activity first started. The volcano has been spewing lava and ash since January 13th and currently remains at alert level 4 on a 5-level alert scale. Experts say the eruptions of the volcano could last for more than a month. A SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket blasted off from Florida yesterday, carrying a Luxembourg-made communications satellite designed to expand NATO's surveillance reach and its capability to deter cyber attacks on alliance members. It comes a week before the California-based company is slated to conduct its highly anticipated first test flight of the much larger and more powerful Falcon Heavy rocket, which packs 3 times the thrust of the Falcon 9. A wild Asian elephant ignored guards at the China-Laos checkpoint and crossed the border twice, surveillance cameras capturing the elephant journey. Border guards on duty immediately sent off 2 teams to look for the elephant and informed villagers nearby to keep a lookout, and about an hour later, the elephant was seen heading back towards the border crossing. Lawmakers in Chinese-ruled Hong Kong yesterday voted to ban ivory sales in the world's largest ivory retail market, a move wildlife activists hailed as vital towards halting the slaughter of elephants. The vote in the former British colony, where ivory has traded for more than 150 years, came a month after China, the world's largest importer and end user of elephant tusks, banned their sale. More than 90% of people buying ivory in Hong Kong are from mainland China. Exiled Tibetan spiritual leader the Dalai Lama yesterday returned to India's picturesque hill town of Dharamsala after a medical examination in New Delhi. The Nobel laureate, who attended a number of events in eastern holy city of Bodh Gaya in the last 4 weeks, told reporters in Congress City that he was feeling tired due to old age. Tibetans in exile also held a prayer session for long life of their spiritual leader.
You are watching Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
It was a good day for Sri Lanka in the second day of the first test with Bangladesh, as the visitors ended the day with 187 runs on the board for just 1 wicket. Bangladesh, however, earlier posted 513 runs in their first innings.
The hosts resumed the second day of the test on 374 for the loss of 4 wickets, with Mominul Haq on 175 and skipper Mahmudullah on 9. Mominul could only add 1 run to the score, but the captain was defiant and unbeaten on 83 when the innings finally came to an end with the score on 513.
Not this time around. It's over. Finally, it's the short one.
In their reply, Sri Lanka got off to the worst start possible, with opener Dimuth Karunaratne being dismissed for a knot.
Gone. He's taken a slip.
That was all the Bangladeshi bowlers got during the day, as Kusal Mendes and Dhananjay De Silva racked up the runs. De Silva posted his 4th test century and remained unbeaten at stumps, while Mendes stood at 83 at the close of play, with Sri Lanka on 187 for the loss of just 1 wicket.
The one before this, 190 wickets from Ranganahera, couple more wickets. Congratulations to the Sri Lankan batsman.
With a knock of 120, Faf du Plessis ushered South Africa to 269, a total of outstanding proportions on a slow pitch in Durban against India in the first one-day international. Going after a target of 270, India are 55 for the loss of 1. And moving on, we have football news. Arsenal signed striker Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang from Borussia Dortmund on a long-term contract for a club record fee, with British media reporting that the London club paid about £56 million, eclipsing the £46.5 million spent last year to land striker Alexandre Lacazette from French side Olympique Lyonnais. Aubameyang links up with former Dortmund teammate Henrik Mkhitaryan after the Armenia midfielder joined the Gunners from Manchester United last week, with Chile forward Alexis Sanchez going the other way.
Dortmund agreed to the sale as they had completed a loan deal for Chelsea's Belgian striker Michy Batshuayi. Aubameyang scored 98 goals in 144 Bundesliga games for the German side and had a hand in 172 goals in 213 matches in all competitions for his former club. The 28-year-old is Gabon's all-time top goal scorer with 23 goals from 56 matches and was named the African Footballer of the Year in 2015.
You are watching Sri Lanka's #1 news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
And we have Shanella Fernando at the Weather Centre.
Good evening and welcome to Forecast First. Your temperatures for tomorrow are to vary between 19 and 30 degrees Celsius, with the lowest temperatures expected in the central hills. Well, looking at the map, a low pressure zone will form from the central province and will gradually move towards the western region. Well, tomorrow will be a sunny day to many areas including Jaffna, Mena, Vavuniya and Anuradhapura. But it will, however, not be the same case in Gaul, Matra, Hambantota and Nigambo, as they can expect some showers and thunder showers. That's all we have from the Weather Centre tonight. Up next is your city by city forecast.
Sri Lanka's award-winning news channel, Other Derana 24/7.
And that's all from the Other Derana News Centre for tonight on First at 9. But before we go, as usual, we'd like to leave you with some visuals, and we'll take you to Arugam Bay, locally known as Arugam Kuda, a bay situated on the Indian Ocean in the dry zone of Sri Lanka's southeastern coast. Arugam Bay is regarded by many as one of the best surfing spots in the world. Enjoy the visuals. Have a pleasant evening. Good night.
Bringing you the news and information 24 hours a day. This is Sri Lanka's premier news channel, Other Derana 24/7.